Hi, I'm Lillian Huff from Marysville.
I'm Grace Van Buskirk from Marine City.
I'm Lila Wankett from Marine City.
I'm James O'Grady from St. Clair. Here's our presentation on our solution to our project that we've been having for a couple of weeks.
So this was our initial thoughts. We found the main problem of this distress is we need to find a way to help support our historical institutions. So one of our first bullet points was, when you first reached out to us, our first thought was, what was the main cause of people not understanding or reaching out and why? How can we raise the funding? What activities or sponsorship can we invest in? The process. Once we got back from the museum tour, we spent the first couple of weeks constructing all the possible solutions and try to understand the whole picture, narrowing down the helpful/positive ideas to what would seem the probabilist solutions. First, the main cause of the problem by using information provided through research. When we were invited to another museum tour involving your archives, our group learned more about your cause, along with the focus for this museum.
Things to recognize. We believe that the Port Huron Museum should mainly focus on their funding. This could result in a wide variety of exhibits that apply to many audiences, more money to work with, and more room for new ideas and exhibits.
We think that if we get the Birchwood Mall to help sponsor the Port Huron Museum, then we could get catering and people from the Port Huron Museum. We'd be able to talk about all their interesting artifacts and raise awareness. If we could get the Birchwood Mall on our side and get them to sponsor the Port Huron Museum, and we could get a restaurant to cater the fundraising event at the Birchwood Mall. For examples, 4-Star, Texas Roadhouse, Junction Bowie, Olive Garden. All the popular or fancy restaurants, not McDonald's or Big Boy.
Our idea, Community Day. We believe that the cause to your troubles and the reasons why you've come to us is because, let's be honest, that your museum by itself is not that interesting compared to other museums. Our museums seem to have more people attracting it to them more than us. So we have come up with the idea, Community Day building at the Birchwood Mall. This community building project is meant to reconstruct the culture of the Port Huron area. We found that when you came to us that the Port Huron Museum wanted to focus on the community itself and not just one certain subject or by just whatever, like artifacts and stuff. We wanted to focus more on what is happening now, modern now, just to teach our community what's going on. This idea was focused on the whole family experience. Family experience is the best idea to keep people interested, and that everyone would remember this as a group. But also, this experience would also be shared to other families. Kids would share this idea with their friends, but also parents would have something else to do with their kids than just sit at a depressing, cold, sad playground. Finally, something for you to do, I know. You could hold booths, catering, all from the community, just to help reconstruct our community.
Overall, our group has come to the conclusion that the Port Huron Museum needs a way to raise more funding. Therefore, we want everyone to have interest in what lays inside Port Huron Museum. We don't just want to raise money, we want this museum to thrive.
Thank you for your time. Any questions?
How did you guys arrive at the Birchwood Mall as a partner in this?
I first came up with the idea and I shared with them that because I had gone to a movie, like The Fire Inside, from a recent release at the movie theater there. I forgot what movie theater it was, but I realized that there was not a lot of stores open and that it was kind of empty in some areas. And I found that the Birchwood Mall by itself kind of needs help too. So that we're kind of it's kind of a win-win situation with the Port Huron Museum and the Birchwood Mall itself. Along with that, we're still reinstating all the stores, businesses, etc.
I would like to add on to that. I think that the Birchwood Mall is a good place to set up because a lot of people know where that is and they go there often. So I just think that's a good area to help build up the museum.
And it's relatively close to the museum, it's not too far away, so other people from the area will know that it's going on and occurring.
You had mentioned other museums' popularity versus our local museum. What interest do you think that those museums have that draws the higher audiences?
So when people, let's say they're having a family trip to the east side of Michigan, they're not really focusing on like the community, but they're more really focusing on like the more famous stuff, like the Thomas Edison, like all the stuff that he did, seeing like how electricity and all these other mechanics and other things worked, and that's probably why a lot of like the lighthouse too. They have a lot of more historic value, and they have a lot of like the Port Huron Museum is not mainly historical. It's more on the culture itself, as we saw in the archives that there was a lot of like original culture, like China plates and photography tools and all these things that were from the early 1900s and stuff. So when it comes to other museums, these other museums have more historical and they're more, I'm not going to say like more educated, but they're more focused on that topic than the Port Huron Museum is. Yeah.
I know I really like learning about places' history. Like I like learning about the history of the object, like where it came from and how it was used. So I'm thinking like if you were to like explain more of how it ties into our community more and like where it would have come from and what kind of people might have used it, that might spark more kids' interest because they might want to learn more about it and where they're from and maybe who they could have potentially been related to.
Were you with us when we did the archive day and we had the Milton Ice Museum pieces down there?
I don't think so.
Okay, I was gonna say, we did have a couple of pieces from the Milton Museum. I think you had handled.
I was
shader
there.
at one point. That was, yeah.
And like adding on, like just so try to maybe if you could just like try to explore more of a variety of like exhibits, and maybe that would spark some people's minds in coming.
Thank you very much.
You're welcome.